Good evening and welcome to the June 2024 Board of Zoning Appeals. This time I'll call the meeting to order. First item on our agenda is our prayer and our pledge. If you will, please stand. Bow your heads. Dear Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you, Lord. We ask that you be with these proceedings, that everything would be done that would be pleasing in your sight, Lord. We ask that you continue to bless the town of Smyrna, the staff, and the leadership, Lord, and that everything that they would do would also be pleasing. We ask that you be with these proceedings and keep us all safe as we leave and return home tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Face the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Scotty. All right. Number 3 on our agenda tonight is citizens' comments. We have 6 individuals who signed up for citizens' comments. I will call you in no particular order, just the order I have you on the sheet here. If you will, come to the microphone, state your name and your address and whether or not you're in city limits, and then you'll have 3 minutes. We'll keep a timer and let you know when your time's up. Once your time's up, we ask that you stop promptly. It's kind of a hard stop, so kind of finish your sentence and let's go to the next folks, all right? First person is George Kilgore. Hope you didn't mind being first.
No. Yes, I am George Kilgore, and I live at 1021 Old Jefferson Pike. Here today with a big amount of concern of the traffic that has been created on Old Jefferson and Young and some of the other roads right there. And one of the great things that we have in Old Jefferson and in that neighborhood is that there's really 3 people that come into that neighborhood for the most part. And that's people that live there. That's people that coming to see someone, and then the people that are lost. Because there's only one way in and one way out. And that's what makes the neighborhood and the people so precious. It's one of those neighborhoods that you would all like to live in because we take care of one another. My big concern with the request that's being proposed to you today is the safeness, the traffic. We have a lot of people that walk in the neighborhood, and of course we don't have sidewalks, and so we have to walk on the road. Well, the amount of traffic that has been increased, you have to get off the road in order to continue walking, or you could have some trouble. And we see young children, we see moms and dads, and we see people walking all the time. And this was really true a few months ago. But now, we have to pick and choose when we walk. Now, it's for the simple reason the traffic has increased, and you just don't really know what's going on. For a long time, we were able to, when neighbors would be walking, you could stop in your car and talk to that neighbor, but that's no longer true. You got to keep moving because the traffic is becoming extremely large and fast. One of the things that I really get concerned with is we all know that there are signs on Old Jefferson as you come into Old Jefferson that says no semi-trucks are allowed on that road. Well, from time to time, due to whatever the case may be, semi-trucks and trailers have come down Old Jefferson. And when they get to Old Jefferson and Young, to that intersection, all of a sudden they realize they can't get out. So they have to back up all the way on Jefferson, all the way to Young. And there's been cases where neighbors have had to get out and kind of guide that truck out of the neighborhood. And just very fortunately, it hasn't been the time when there's a school bus coming down the road. That's amazing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kilgore. Next item is Dan Pope. If you will, state your name and your address for the record, please.
My name is Dan Pope. I live at 1027 Old Jefferson Pike, right next door to Mr. Kilgore. What he said is exactly right. We're a small neighborhood. I moved there, I think, 25 years ago, and it's been very nice. It's very quiet. We have the Corps of Engineer land across from us on that road, so we don't have a whole lot of traffic at all, like he said, and the people that's lost, normally, they turn around in my driveway and go back out. But we are having an increase of vehicles coming up and down the road, and it starts generally at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it lasts probably till 9, 10 o'clock in that area. And the same thing coming back in the afternoon, and this is 7 days a week. It's not just 5 days a week, it's 7 days a week. And they also, there's a lot of deliveries made, and there are ton trucks bringing stuff. There's 45-foot, like he said, semi-trucks that come in and out where they wasn't before. It's very dangerous. Like he said, we have kids that catch buses out there. And all this traffic increase, I'm a little afraid that sooner or later one of these kids are going to get hit. It's not like we don't have sidewalks. If you had sidewalks, and like out on other roads, I see they have areas for the kids to gather to get loaded on buses. Here, we don't have that. The road is very narrow in the first place. It's not as wide as a normal road. So it's just, there's a lot of things that's going to play as far as safety. And that's the key. The biggest thing here is the safety of our neighborhood. And I'd appreciate you guys thinking about that, and I do oppose to it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next person on the list is Melinda Potts.
I'm Melinda Potts. I live at 1020 Old Jefferson Pike in Smyrna. I've actually lived on Old Jefferson Pike most all of my life. So I've seen it grow. I've seen it get quiet, very quiet on that road. And now, once again, I'm seeing the traffic picking up to the point that it's constant. I know in the backup that the planners prepared for tonight, they referred to the Skaggs having a soft exemption, I believe is how it was worded. But when they had their fence company at the end of the road, you saw them twice a day. Their one truck pulling a trailer, they'd go out in the morning, they'd come back in the afternoon, because basically the family was the workers. And but here lately, I have noticed a sizable increase in the traffic that we're getting. And I know it's a very family-friendly neighborhood, and that's why most all of us moved out there. I wanted a place my grandchildren could play and not have to worry about them. And I would oppose this appeal, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Fourth on the list, we have Rhonda Randolph.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Randolph, and I live at 1123 Old Jefferson Pike, and I am in the city limits. I've lived on Old Jefferson Pike for 26 years. My kids grew up there, ride my bike, I walk, and my greatest concern too is what the previous neighbors have said, is there is like a constant barrage of trucks or cars that go down the road, and most of them are speeding. I mean, that Saturday I sat out on my porch, and one of the pickup trucks went by just so fast. I mean, it's just a great concern. People in that neighborhood, they walk their dogs, they ride their bikes, they do walk. I have dogs, and like I said, my kids grew up there, and I never had to worry about them walking across the street to play with the neighbors when they were growing up. But now, as a person that's rolling into the grandchildren's phase, I wouldn't want my grandchild out there in the yard without being a helicopter grandparent. I mean, it's just quite busy. And then, as they said, with a semi going down the road and deliveries being made, I mean, it's just a safety concern. I wish the gentleman a happy, successful business, just not in our neighborhood. So I oppose. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Fifth on our list, we have Mark Wells.
How y'all doing?
Good.
My name is Mark Wells. I live at 105 Young Drive. I've lived there 33 years. I'm against this. We live in a residential neighborhood. We don't live in commercial property. Okay? This should not even be considered. We've got a person that's bought a piece of residential property, and he's already turned it into a commercial piece of property. And he's been caught. And now he wants you to reward him by giving him this. It will increase his property value, but it's going to decrease all of our property values. Nobody wants to live in a neighborhood. I was talking to Mr. Pope last week about 8 o'clock in the morning, and one of his vans come in. The guy was going so fast, he run off the road. He almost hit the guardrail. Okay? It's a constant. We know who comes in and out of our neighborhood. Now we do not know who's coming in and out of our neighborhood. And it ain't just 8 employees from what I've seen, because they're coming down Young Drive and they're coming down Old Jefferson to get back there. This should not be happening. You here are there to protect our communities, not to make it worse for us. We get police protection, we get fire protection, but we also need our properties protected and not being took over. And I hope that y'all see that. I consider this, we should not even be standing here. This should not even be happening. Not only did y'all find out about it, while he's waiting to hear a word, he's still running his business. This should not be going on. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Last item is, our last person is April Wilson.
My name is Ava Wilson. I live at 123 Young Drive. I've lived there for 40 years. Raised my children there, like the rest of them. Have my grandchildren still living with me, a great-grandchild now. And it's been a wonderful neighborhood, and still is, but like all the others have mentioned, the traffic has certainly increased dramatically. And it being a residential neighborhood, I would like for it to stay that. The gentleman that has the business, I don't wish him any ill will at all, but that's a neighborhood. It's not a commercialized place to have a business. And I would wish and hope that you all see everything that we pleaded with you today, that we would like our neighborhood to stay that way. It is a neighborhood that everybody knows, and we know whose cars are coming and going or have had up until this time. So I would appreciate it if this would not pass. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for your comments. We're going to go through our process, and there's an opportunity again for public comments when we get to the matter itself. So if there's anything you want to add or anybody didn't get to speak that would like to, there'll be more opportunity at that point. So I don't want you to think I'm glassing over your comments. I'm just going to go through the motions, and we'll get to that part. Number 4 on our agenda is approval of our minutes from our May 16th meeting. Those are in your packet and should be in order. Any adjustments or corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nobody left for opposed, so we're good. All right, we have one item on the agenda tonight, which I think we're all here for. Special exception by Mr. Sanchez at 1155 Old Jefferson Pike. Mitch?
Yeah, it's a special exception request to allow an in-home occupation at 1155 Old Jefferson Pike. The applicant operates an electric company with approximately 12 employees. Per the applicant, an application, an average of 8 vehicles arrive daily with employees, as well as box truck deliveries once or a couple times a week, with other Amazon and FedEx deliveries throughout the week as well. Property was sold in 2021. The previous owner operated a fencing business out of the house without issue at that time. And staff has received several phone calls from the surrounding property owners in regards to the traffic generated from the applicant's business. And that is how it came to light for us as a result of that. So, like I said previously, there was other business being ran out. It's not until you can't operate a business out of a house as long as it's within reasons. So, due to the traffic that was generated, which is why we're here tonight. Section 7.060B of the zoning ordinance, detail requirements for authorizing special exceptions. They are detailed below. Special exception requirements, section 7.060 of the municipal zoning ordinance lists general requirements for a zoning variance request. Those requirements, the staff findings are as follows. Section 7.060, procedure for authorizing special exceptions. General requirements, a conditional use permit shall be provided. The board finds that it is so designed, located, and proposed to be operated so that public health, safety, and welfare be protected. Staff finds that the proposed use of an electrical company would not negatively affect the health, safety, and welfare of the public due to the size and location of the lot within the subdivision. Will not adversely affect the property in the area. Staff finds that the proposed use may adversely affect other property in the surrounding area due to the traffic generated by employees of the applicant's business as well as deliveries to the residents. Is within provisions of special exceptions as set forth in the ordinance. Customary incidental home occupations are permitted right within the municipal zoning ordinance within all residential districts. In the event questions arise regarding the legality of specific home occupations, the Board of Zoning Appeals determines the legality. Conforms to all applicable provisions of this ordinance for the district in which it is to be located, as well as provisions cited in section 7.060 and 7.061, and is necessary for public convenience and location planned. Staff finds that the site may be able to conform to all provisions of municipal zoning ordinance listed in criteria review section 7.060C. Criteria for review: ingress and egress to the property and proposed structures thereon with particular reference to automotive and pedestrian safety and convenience, traffic flow and control, and access in case of fire catastrophe. Access to the site would utilize the existing driveway off of Old Jefferson Pike. Off-street parking. Staff finds that the lot may provide sufficient space for off-street parking as the applicant owns both 1154 and 1155 Old Jefferson Pike. In addition, the driveways and lot size is of sufficient size to accommodate vehicles for parking on site. Refuse and service areas. A refuse collection would proceed in the same manner as currently. Utilities. The location does have access to gas and water, however, is serviced by a septic system. Number 5, screening and buffering is not applicable in this case. Signs, if any, and proposed exterior lighting with reference to glare, traffic, safety, economic effect, and compatibility and harmony with properties in the district. Staff finds that the proposed business should fit the compatibility with the properties in the same district in reference to those above effects. Required yard and open space. Staff finds this yard has necessary yard and open space to meet setback requirements as the lot is just over 5 acres in size and has an accessory structure already constructed where the equipment is stored. General compatibility with adjacent properties and other property in the district. Staff finds that the use may not be compatible with adjacent properties due to other lots in the subdivision not having a similar intensity business operating out of the household. And number 9 is not applicable in this case. In conclusion, staff finds that this lot does provide sufficient space for the operation of the applicant's business. However, it does generate greater than average traffic as a result of the business operations. There is an accessory structure on the site that does store all the goods for the businesses, and the lot is located in the rear of the George E. Young subdivision. As a result, any of the deliveries and employees must travel through the entire subdivision to arrive at the applicant's residence and place of business on a daily basis. If you so choose to approve this request, just keep in mind staff would recommend putting several conditions on this, not including but not limited to hours of operation, days of operation, number of employees at the house, etc. So just keep that in mind if you so choose to go that route. But that is all I have for the staff report. A couple pictures of the residence. So this is kind of a one-track shared driveway access leading all the way back to the back of the subdivision. So this is the resident that is on the property as well as the accessory structure where parts and such are stored for the business. Just a different look. So there's a second driveway leading up to another residence. This is once again that one kind of track driveway, long driveway, shared access to get to the residence. So I have a zoomed in version and a further out version so you can kind of get an idea of where this property is located. So highlighted is that track, so you can see it far back tucked in of that subdivision. And that one track shared driveway access starts about right here and leads back to these other residences. Kind of give you a broader view of where this is located. So we got the West Jefferson Pike and then Old Jefferson Pike branches off with Florence Road right here. So essentially from right here where Florence and Old Jefferson Pike are located and tee off from one another, you have this entire subdivision. And then tucked back is where the applicant resides and the business is operating out of. So you can kind of see where the road network lays throughout that subdivision, how those employees and deliveries would traverse through the sub to arrive at that location. So with that, that is all I have.
Thank you, Mitch. I have received probably 50 plus emails, and I think all of them were in opposition. Most of the things that you guys said tonight were the things that I've heard or seen in those emails. I don't think there was anything that surprised me tonight. I've already heard about it. Obviously, for the board, the things that are at issue here is there's one way in, one way out. And because of that property being in the very back of the subdivision, pretty much goes right through the middle of the neighborhood for everything. We had a similar, Scott, you may remember this, I don't think you were on the board yet, Vanessa, but we had a similar complaint about a plumbing company that was in, I think, a light industrial area. I don't even think that's, or is it just commercial? I don't remember, but it's definitely not residential. It was in a commercial area, and the plumbing business had similar about similar size, was generating so much traffic at that facility that the tenants in the building were complaining, and they were in the commercial zone. So that's the first thing that I thought of when I saw this. I spent some time in the neighborhood. I actually went out there Thursday, I believe it was, of last week, around 7:30, and I stayed there for about an hour and just kind of watched traffic. I'm surprised that it's only 12 employees. I saw what seemed to be a lot more traffic than that. I did not see, a semi truck. I didn't see large trucks. Maybe just the hour I was there, but there was a significant amount of traffic that seemed to all be going to that business and back, especially around that time frame, that 8 to 9 time frame. So I witnessed at least the traffic that you're talking about for that morning time period. So I understand your concerns. Board, I guess, any questions for Mitch before we go to a public hearing? Or
The
any
only-
statements?
The only thing I would want to know about is, do we have confirmation on the semi trucks? And obviously, if we do, are they going to the business?
I have not personally seen, and it was not mentioned by the applicant, so that's nothing that can be confirmed by
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
And I guess one thing to clarify, I've said this a couple times, but commercial home business is allowed in residential area, but anytime we consider those type of businesses, one of the main things we look at is the traffic. How many people are going to be coming in and out, what times of day. Even like, there's even been cases where we've not approved a daycare because they were going to have 20 kids. And 20 kids means 20 cars in, 20 cars out. Into a small neighborhood, that's an impact. So there's lots of things you can do for a home business, and there's some things that we've approved, but some that we haven't. And this is one of the number one things that we're looking at is traffic and impact to the community around them. So that's really my biggest concern with everything we're seeing here is the traffic, the size. I mean, it's essentially operating as a commercial property at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's nothing that says you can't have an in-home business, office operating out of a house, someone doing logistics, coordinating, what have you. But similar to what you said, your hair salon is just a prime example. People run out of their house. Something like that we would definitely bring to you guys to take a look at just because of that traffic that is generated as a result of that business out of the house.
Right. Okay. Anything? All right, at this time, I will close the Board of Zoning Appeals and open a public hearing for anyone who would like to speak for or against this request. If you'd like to speak for it, please stand up. If you'd like to speak against, just come to the mic. Sure. If you will, state your name and address for the record and that whether you're in city limits.
My name is Lisa Hilton. I live at 101 Young Drive, and I'm in the city limits.
Thank you.
And I am one of the walkers, the daily walkers. And the road, even though the two-lane part of the road, it is very narrow. I saw Mr. Weissman this morning, I think.
Were
This
you walking
morning,
your dog?
I was
Yes.
walking my dog, and he smiled and waved. But he was good about, one, following the speed limit, and two, moving over.
I'm glad to hear that. We don't have to fire him.
And he waved, which is what southern neighborhoody people do, is, you wave. And the thing that I've noticed the most over the last is the speed, the fact that nobody is looking up at whoever is walking on the street. They're just driving. And they're not waving. I guess that's the... but it is difficult. The other thing that I'm really concerned about is the fact that it's a single lane access to those houses back after the mailboxes. The post office doesn't even deliver back there because it's so narrow. And the fact that the trees from the state property, they're so close to the road that I don't walk there with the dog, though. Even though I can go over to the side, there's not a lot of room. You can see there's not a lot of room for us. And the fact that the trees are low, I don't walk on that part. So that's my big concern, is the speed, the fact that I'm a daily walker with my dog, and the fact that those big trucks are coming through there. I haven't seen an 18-wheeler, but I have seen huge, like, gravel trucks and cement trucks, I guess when they were adding on to all of that. But, and I was shocked, so thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
I'm Steve Hilton, Lisa's my wife. I live at 101 Young Drive. And we've only been in the home 10 years, so we're the rookie in the neighborhood. With all these 30 and 40-year-old homeowners. But Lisa and I have been married over 30 years. We've owned businesses in 3 states. And we have been uniquely in the position of this individual, having built a business in our garage that grew to the point where we had so much traffic coming that we needed, because we were a too large commercial entity then, we had to go find a shop. In our community here in Smyrna, there's tons of excellent commercial properties that a company like that can find and utilize. So for the benefit of one property owner to want to get permission to actually affect negatively every other homeowner in that community, as Mark said, I think there should be very little rationale for this board to agree to allow that. We do have a lot of walkers, but the issue is we have little bitty streets. When I walk with my wife, we have to stop and get in the grass to let cars go by just because we're walking, because they're just little bitty streets. So we really don't even have normal sized streets to handle normal sized traffic. So it's not just a traffic concern, although it is a traffic concern, but it's the increased traffic concern on our little community streets. So I would urge this board not to approve this request. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Carl, are you coming to the mic? Okay. I wasn't sure if you were leaving or going to the mic. Again,
Hi,
state.
my name's Carl Wilson. I live at 1013 Old Jefferson Pike, and that's in the town limits. First, I'd like to thank the board members for serving this town and this board. Unfortunately, we've seen a number of recent events that show just how hard it is to serve on a board or a town council, and your efforts are greatly appreciated. I am here to express my concerns for this variance request. It's to run an electrical business out of the property, which will negatively impact the subdivision. It's a quiet residential neighborhood with one access to the area, down Old Jefferson Pike. Once you pass Florence, there's no other way in or other way out. One of the main reasons my wife and I chose to buy a home in this area was the self-contained design of the subdivision. It'd be very quiet, limited traffic flow. We have large lot sizes, zero connections to any main roads, heavy traffic, or commercial areas. It's truly a hidden gem. All non-subdivision traffic stops at Florence, and our area is frequently used for biking, walking, adults, children, and pets. There are no shoulders, there's no sidewalks, and so this is done in the main roadway. My first concern is the location of the property, requesting the variance being at the very back. All traffic must pass every house along the way to get there, and so it's impacting everyone in the area. My second concern is the request to run an in-home occupation or a home-based business. This, in my opinion, is not a home-based business. Those are small 1 to 2 person operations that utilize mainly the homeowner just utilizing their personal vehicle to do whatever they need to do. This business has 12 employees and 8 vehicles. If it continues to grow and is successful, and we all hope it is, it's going to only increase the number of employees, vehicles, deliveries, and all the associated traffic that goes with it. This size business should be operating in an area classified for a commercial business, not a residential subdivision. And while I certainly understand the financial and convenience perspectives from the owner's perspective, it's just not appropriate for the area and should not be allowed. My final and main concern is that if you allow this variance, then you're setting a precedent that may impact future requests. This is a large request, and approval of this variance will impair your ability to deny anything smaller. Approval of this request, in my opinion, will set a dangerous standard and one that will certainly cause angst for many residents. We recently witnessed the town council try to deal with similar issues as they try to evaluate new development requests against precedents that were set by previously approved developments. Businesses should not be operating in residential neighborhoods. When you purchase a home in a residential area, you should not have a business-related traffic in the area. Many town residents are dealing with the impact of growth and increased traffic on the main roads in the parts of the town that used to have very limited traffic flow. We must all now help to ensure that residential zoning is respected, and so that the increased traffic flow does not extend into the subdivisions and is limited to the main roadways and zoned commercial areas. I thank you for your time and consideration of my comments and concerns.
Thank you, Carl. Anyone else? All right, not seeing anyone, we will close the public hearing and reopen the Board of Zoning Appeals for the discussion and resolution. I told you I'd visited this neighborhood. I'm also very familiar with this neighborhood. I grew up here in Smyrna. I spent a lot of time in that neighborhood. Had a lot of friends that lived back there. I used to ride my bike from Bent Tree over there to hang out with my friends in the summer. So unfortunately, the road leading into the neighborhood has been used as a racetrack for years. It's a straight shot that's about a half mile long, and I'm not going to say that I personally ever did it, but I know someone who might have come down that road a little fast. So I think that the straightness and the layout of that kind of tends people to speed up, get a little more comfortable, and then next thing you know, you pass Florence Road and you're in the middle of a subdivision, and it kind of surprises you, sneaks up on you. So I definitely know that there's speed issues there. We've had many conversations with our police officers about patrolling that section of road over the years, so definitely familiar with it. This simply comes down to the amount of traffic and the number of people. It's just too big for a residential area. This is a commercial business. It sounds like it's a successful business. Sounds like you're doing a great job growing the business, but it's probably, in my opinion, already 2 or 3 times bigger than it should have been in a residential area. So I don't know if the board has anything else. I mean, there's really not any issues with the site. The site would probably be okay if it was in a different layout, a different access, or maybe in a different part of the county or the town. But with all the access coming through the subdivision, I think, Carl, I think you said it pretty much impacts everyone else in the neighborhood.
And it is in town limits, right? It's not like
Yes.
so far back that it's out of. Yeah.
Anything else? If not, entertain a motion.
I mean, I'll go ahead and make a motion to deny based on the increase in traffic and the safety concerns for the neighborhood. Is there,
I don't know, we have some discussion, we good?
Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
talking to Mitch
yeah.
there.
Hey, he doesn't speed, so we're good. I just want, was there anything we missed in our
Like, yes,
motion? The motion was to deny due to the impact to the surrounding neighbors in the community. The traffic related. Is that good?
do we need any condition on
I mean, it's denial. So
shut down the business or
No,
move it?
that all happened.
That's all y'all, we don't have to worry about?
I mean, obviously, you're allowed to do that if you want to give him a certain amount of time. That
That's a
would
good
need to be
idea.
in your motion, if you were given 30 days or something like that. However, keep in mind, it's a non-conforming use, so you never approved it to give him a reason to keep operating. So this was an after-the-fact issue as a non-conforming use that, as you determined, is not a customary incidental home occupation. So,
Let me ask about so the normal process, assuming this motion was to carry, obviously the applicant's here tonight, so he would be notified immediately, but what's the normal process to ensure that that happens in a timely manner? Does codes now get involved? How does the town now communicate next
Yes.
steps, et cetera?
yes, so it would be obviously, you would probably give them a reasonable amount of time to do that. But there's several things that we have the ability to do. All of those are court actions, whether it's with our municipal court or whether it's with the Chancery Court or Court of Equity in Rutherford County, Murfreesboro. Hopefully, it wouldn't need to get to that point.
Yeah, what I was mostly concerned about is, no offense, Jeff, but town processes can run quite slow sometimes.
Sure.
And I don't want to get in a situation where this ends up going on for 30, 60, 90 days just to go through the process.
Sure.
If there's something we can do here tonight to make that kind of a finite period of time, then
Well, I think
I'll do
it's
that.
effective immediately as far as your denial. It just means that it never did pass.
Okay.
And so I think as evidenced by, as soon as I was made aware of it, this was brought to you within the month.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's anything we'll let grass grow underneath us.
Gotcha.
but
Okay.
Just needs to be reasonable. I don't
Yeah, I
expect it
just
tomorrow.
really was just making sure that does it help you or hurt you if we add a condition? If it doesn't make a difference, I don't see the point.
Right, and like I said, it's not like something that was approved,
Right.
and now you're saying, well, now you have to stop doing it. It never was allowed, so I wouldn't say, well, it's allowed for 30 more days.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right, so the motion is to deny based on the impact to the community and the traffic that this commercial property or commercial business generates. Simply, the size of the business is just too large for a residential area. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of denial, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. The motion is, the request is denied. Item number 6 on our agenda is staff comments or other business. Do we have any, Mitch? Not seeing any other staff comments or other business, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.